The message arrived at 11:47 p.m. Angela was already in bed scrolling through her phone when the notification appeared. A private message from someone named Alexis Monroe. The profile picture showed a young woman with soft brown eyes and dark curly hair pulled into a bun. "I think you might be my biological mother." Angela's hands went numb. She hadn't given birth in 1992. She had never been pregnant. She had never put a child up for adoption. But her sister had, and her sister had used Angela's name. Angela sat up in bed, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She read the message again, then again. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a full minute before she typed back, "Can we talk?" The reply came instantly. "Yes, please." They agreed to meet at a coffee shop 2 days later. Angela didn't sleep that night. She didn't sleep the next night either. She kept thinking about Danielle, her older sister, beautiful and reckless, who had died in a car crash 32 years ago when Angela was only 19. Danielle had been 23 when she got pregnant. She refused to tell anyone who the father was. She disappeared for 8 months, living with a friend in another state, and came back without the baby. "I gave her up," Danielle had said. "It's better this way." Angela had held her sister while she cried. She never asked questions. She never pushed. And then 8 months later, Danielle was gone. A drunk driver ran a red light and hit her car head on. She died instantly. Angela had been carrying that grief for 32 years. Now the baby Danielle gave up was sitting across from her in a coffee shop. Alexis looked exactly like Danielle. The same eyes, the same curve of the jaw, the same hands that moved when she talked, even the way she tilted her head when she was nervous. Angela had seen Danielle do that 1,000 times. Angela's throat tightened. For a moment, she couldn't speak. It was like looking at a ghost. "I'm sorry," Alexis said softly. "I know this must be a shock. I didn't mean to just show up in your life like this." Her voice was gentle, kind, nothing like the anger or resentment Angela had feared. Angela shook her head. "No, I mean, yes, but not the way you think." Alexis frowned. She set her coffee cup down carefully, like she was bracing herself. "What do you mean?" Angela took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking. She clasped them together under the table. "I'm not your mother." The words hung in the air like smoke. Alexis stared at her. Her face didn't change. She just stared. "But the birth certificate," she said slowly. "Your name is on it. Angela Marie Hartwell, born March 14th, 1973. That's you. I checked. I found your Facebook, your LinkedIn. I spent 2 months making sure I had the right person before I reached out." "Yes," Angela said quietly. "That's me. But I never gave birth." Alexis's face went pale. The color drained from her cheeks like water down a sink. "I don't understand." Angela felt her eyes sting. "My sister did," she said. "Danielle. She used my name on the birth certificate. I didn't know until after she died." The coffee shop felt too loud suddenly. Someone laughed at a table nearby. A barista called out an order. Life kept moving around them while Alexis's entire world stopped. "Your sister?" Alexis's voice was barely a whisper. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. Alexis's hands were shaking. She picked up her coffee cup, then set it back down without drinking. Her fingers wouldn't stop trembling. "Your sister?" Angela nodded. She reached across the table, but stopped herself. She didn't know if Alexis wanted to be touched. She didn't want anyone to know. She was scared, young. She didn't have money, didn't have support, so she used my name. I didn't find out until I was going through her things after the accident. "She's dead?" Alexis's voice cracked like ice breaking. "Yes." Angela's own voice shook now. "She died in a car accident 8 months after you were born. A drunk driver ran a red light. She died instantly. She was only 23 years old." Alexis covered her mouth with her hand, her eyes filled with tears that spilled over immediately, running down her cheeks in silent streams. "I'm so sorry," Angela whispered. "I'm so sorry you had to find out this way. I don't know what I should have done, but I'm sorry." But Alexis wasn't crying because her mother was dead. She was crying because she had spent 30 years wondering why her mother didn't want her. 30 years thinking she wasn't good enough. 30 years carrying a wound that had shaped every relationship she'd ever had. And now she knew the truth. Her mother had wanted her. She just didn't know how to keep her. What was she like? Alexis finally asked, wiping her eyes with a napkin. Angela smiled through her own tears. She was beautiful, wild. She laughed too loud and danced in the kitchen when she thought no one was watching. She loved old movies, anything with Audrey Hepburn. She could quote entire scenes from Breakfast at Tiffany's. Alexis laughed, a wet, broken sound. I love that movie. I know, Angela said softly. You look just like her. They sat in that coffee shop for 3 hours. Angela told Alexis everything. How Danielle had been wild and beautiful. How she'd gotten pregnant at 22 and refused to say who the father was. How she'd cried for weeks after giving Alexis up. She loved you, Angela said. Alexis wiped her eyes. Do you know who my father is? Angela hesitated. No, she never told me. But that wasn't entirely true. 3 weeks before she died, Danielle had written a letter. Angela found it in a shoebox under her bed. The letter was addressed to Alexis with instructions. Give this to her when she's 18. But Angela had been 19 and grieving. She didn't know how to find a baby who had been adopted. So she kept the letter for 32 years. And now Alexis was asking about her father. Wait here, Angela said. She drove home, pulled the shoebox from her closet, found the yellowed envelope. She drove back to the coffee shop. Alexis was still there, waiting. Angela set the envelope on the table. She wrote you a letter before she died. Alexis took the envelope with trembling hands. She opened it slowly. Inside was a single page in blue ink. My beautiful girl, I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know if you'll ever want to. But if you do, I need you to know something. I loved you. I love you still. I gave you up because I couldn't give you the life you deserved. I was 22, broke and scared. Your father didn't want anything to do with us. He told me to get rid of you. I couldn't, so I carried you for 9 months. I felt you kick. I sang to you. I named you before I let you go. Your father's name is Marcus Delaney. He lives in Tampa, Florida. Or at least he did when I last saw him. He's a coward, but he's also your father. You have a right to know. I hope you have a good life, sweetheart. I hope you're loved. I hope you're happy. I'm sorry I couldn't be the mother you needed, but I was your mother, and I loved you more than anything. Danielle. Alexis read the letter 3 times. Then she folded it carefully and placed it back in the envelope. Marcus Delaney, she whispered. Angela nodded. I didn't know his name until now. Alexis looked up. I want to find him. It took 2 weeks. Alexis hired a private investigator. Marcus Delaney was still in Tampa. He was 55 now, married with 2 teenage sons. He owned a car dealership. He had no idea Alexis existed. Alexis sent him a message through Facebook. My name is Alexis Monroe. I was born on June 12, 1992. My biological mother was Danielle Hartwell. She told me you're my father. I'd like to take a DNA test. The message sat unread for 4 days. Then finally, a response. I don't know what you're talking about. You have the wrong person. But Alexis didn't give up. She found his business email. She found his work address. She sent copies of the birth certificate, the letter, hospital records from 1992. Finally, Marcus agreed to meet. Not because he believed her, because he wanted to prove she was wrong. They met at a lawyer's office in Tampa. The room was cold, sterile, with leather chairs and a long wooden table. Marcus brought his wife, a thin blonde woman who looked uncomfortable. Alexis brought Angela. Marcus looked older than 55. His hair was gray and thinning. His face was lined with deep wrinkles around his eyes and mouth. He was wearing a polo shirt with his car dealership logo on it. He wouldn't look Alexis in the eye. He sat down, arms crossed, jaw tight. This is ridiculous, he said before anyone else could speak. I don't know your mother. I've never heard of Danielle Hartwell. Alexis didn't flinch. She'd expected this. She slid a folder across the table. She knew you, Alexis said quietly. She wrote your name in a letter before she died. This is a copy. Marcus didn't open the folder. Then she lied, or she was confused. I don't know what you want from me, but I don't want anything. Alexis interrupted. Her voice was steady, calm. I just want to know the truth. If you're not my father, the test will prove it. If you are, then I deserve to know. Marcus's wife leaned forward. Just take the test, Marcus. Her voice was quiet but firm. If it's not true, it'll prove it, and this will be over. Marcus clenched his jaw so hard the muscles in his neck bulged. Fine, he bit out. Let's get this over with. The DNA test took 3 weeks to process. Alexis called Angela every other day. They talked about Danielle, about what she was like as a kid, about her favorite songs, her favorite movies, the way she used to laugh so hard she'd snort. Angela felt like she was getting her sister back, and Alexis felt like she was finally meeting her mother. The results came back on a Tuesday. Alexis opened the email at 9:14 a.m. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Marcus Delaney is the biological father. She called Angela immediately. "He's my father," she said, her voice shaking. The test came back positive. Angela closed her eyes. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know." Marcus didn't respond to the results for a week. Then finally, he sent a short email. "I don't want a relationship. I have a family. This was a mistake from 30 years ago. I'm sorry, but I can't be part of your life." Alexis read the email 3 times. Then she deleted it. The DNA test revealed a father who didn't want to be found. Danielle had carried the truth for 9 months and gave it away with her daughter. Marcus Delaney got the proof he feared, and Alexis got the closure she needed. But closure doesn't always feel like peace. Sometimes the truth just confirms what you already knew. You were alone then, and you're still alone now. But the story didn't end there, because 6 months later, on a random Tuesday evening, while Alexis was scrolling through her Ancestry account, she got another notification. Her heart stopped. Close family, match, half-sibling confidence, extremely high. She clicked on the profile with shaking hands. The name was Ethan Mitchell, born September 18th, 1991, 9 months before Alexis. The profile picture showed a man in his early 30s with dark curly hair and brown eyes. He looked familiar, so familiar it made her chest hurt. He looked like Danielle. Alexis's hands went cold. Her mind was racing. Danielle had been pregnant twice. She had another child, a son, and she had given him up too. Alexis sat frozen in her chair for 10 full minutes, staring at the notification. Then she picked up her phone and called Angela. "She had another baby," Alexis said, her voice shaking. "Before me, a boy." Angela was silent on the other end of the line. "Angela, did you hear me?" "I heard you," Angela whispered. "Oh my God, I didn't know. I swear, Alexis, I didn't know." "He's my brother," Alexis said. The words felt surreal. "I have a brother." Alexis reached out immediately. "Hi, my name is Alexis. I think we might be half-siblings. My biological mother was Danielle Hartwell. She passed away in 1992. The response came 2 hours later. "My biological mother's name was listed as Jane Doe on my birth certificate. I was left at a fire station in Orlando when I was 3 days old. I've been searching for my family my whole life." Alexis's heart broke. Danielle hadn't just given up 2 babies, she had abandoned one. Ethan and Alexis met a month later at a park in Orlando. Alexis saw him from across the parking lot and knew immediately. He was her brother. They sat on a bench under an oak tree. For the first 5 minutes, neither of them spoke. "I was left at a fire station when I was 3 days old," Ethan finally said. "No note, no name, just left." Alexis's throat tightened. "She gave me up through an adoption agency. At least I had paperwork." They took a DNA test that day. The results came back a week later. Probability of half-sibling relationship, 99.98%. They were brother and sister. Danielle had given birth twice. She had let them both go, and she had never told a soul. Ethan and Alexis stayed in touch after that. They became close. They shared stories. They filled in the gaps of each other's lives. And Angela became the aunt they never knew they had. She told them about Danielle's laugh, her love of old movies, the way she used to dance in the kitchen when no one was watching. She gave them pieces of their mother they would never have had otherwise. Marcus never reached out again, but Alexis didn't need him to. She had Ethan. She had Angela. She had the truth. And sometimes that was enough. Danielle Hartwell had 2 children. She gave them both up. But 30 years later, they found each other, and they found the family she couldn't give them. Sometimes the truth doesn't bring you the parent you wanted, but it brings you the family you needed.